Glad you can join us here on the Braves Sports Network here on this Monday night. Glad you could join us. We're on a little bit earlier than anticipated. We're trying to get some last minute levels checked and ready to go. And I think we are ready to go. All right, glad you can join us here on the Braves Network here. There's some final checks. We're on a little bit earlier and a little bit different adjustment here for tonight's program. Head coach Fred McNair is joining us on the telephone here on this Monday night. So we appreciate Coach McNair making the adjustment. We got to make adjustments as well. Coach McNair, as we bring you in here, and Coach, a little bit different scenario here. We appreciate you as always, trying to make it work, and obviously a tough ball game on Saturday night. Scored a ton of points, rallied back 5 different times in the game, but just came up short. I know you were proud of your team's effort.
Well, yes, I'm proud. I'm proud of the team stars. And the biggest thing is that we kind of push young men that we have. I think we did good stuff offensively. We had 2 fumbles early in the ball game late on our own 3-yard line. So that gave us a turnover off that. Also, we had to turn over early in the game offensively. But Charles Pringle going out, they was able to pick. And I think they got caught up too. So points off difference in the ball game. I think we matched the intensity of scoring. I think we had to do. I think defensive wise we had stuff that wasn't so good for us. That's one thing. And winning one-on-one guys. Very proud of the team, what they're doing. We just got to keep on and get ready for a good ball club.
Coach, you're breaking up. I don't know what area you're in. So I tell you what, we're going to take a break here, and we'll come back, see if we can get into a little bit better area. Fred McNair, normally in studio, joining us on the telephone here on the Fred McNair program. I know folks are calling and wondering why we weren't on at 5 o'clock. Had to make some last-minute adjustments to get ready for the different scenarios. So we'll take a break, a 1-minute timeout. We'll be back with head coach Fred McNair. We will get into it after this timeout here on the Braves Sports Radio Network.
COVID-19 has changed how we stomp the yard and feel the beat. How we stroll. How we step. How we show our pride. Now it's time to take the first step that lets us get back to strolling instead of scrolling. Before we can safely come together, we need the facts. As COVID-19 vaccines become available, you may have questions.
Is it safe?
Should I get it? Is it free?
It's okay to have questions. Now get the facts about COVID-19 vaccines at getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision for yourself and for your family.
All right, welcome back here on the Fred McNair program. Glad you can join us here on the Braves Sports Network. Charles Edmond, Braves head coach Fred McNair joining us here. Kind of an unusual situation. He's normally here in studio with us, but he is on the telephone. So we appreciate that and making this work. Coach, hope you're in a better area than just a moment ago. Can you hear me, Coach?
Yeah, I can hear you, Charles.
Oh, that is crystal clear. That is perfect. All right, so obviously, when you look at this game, we scored 35 points, enough to win the ball game. We were down 5 different times, 7-0, 14-7, 21-14, 28-21, and you know what happened there. 35-27, tied it up at 35, but then a field goal at the end. This team kept fighting, Coach, and I thought once we tied it up that 5th time, 35 all, knowing that what we've done against Southern University in the past, how every time Southern does something good, we do something better and kind of get the edge. Coach, I thought we would find a way to win that game in the end. Your team kept fighting, just came up a little bit short. Talk about that.
It was a seesaw battle, Charles, and I think that come down to it in the fourth quarter. It was going all depends on who had the ball last. And unfortunately, Southern had the ball last. We weren't able to get a stop, and they kicked the field goal in the end right there. So it was a great field goal. It was a long field goal for him, but he made it, and they win the ball game. Nevertheless, we got to prepare our young men and to play a little bit harder, be more consistent in what we do. You have offense, scoring points, and then defense. They'll play harder game. We just got to get consistent in all phases of it. Got to put the whole thing together, and that's what we're trying to do now is get these kids to play a full game in all phases of it.
So the one question, Coach, has been talked about for the last 48 hours. So we're going to kind of start at the end of the game and then kind of work our way back. The number one question of going in, and people are probably still talking about it to this day, we battled back, tied the game at 35. We kicked the ball off. And the kick. We know that when you kick it out of the back of the end zone, you get it at the 25. You kick it out of bounds, you get it at the 35. So let's start there because that's the million-dollar question a lot of people want to know. What was the strategy in terms of the kickoff after we tied it up at 35?
Yeah, pretty much what I've been seeing the course of the game, Charles. We only kicked one ball out of the back of the end zone the whole game, and they was able to return the ball to at least the 37-yard line each time they returned it. So I'm kind of just wondering now, do I kick it deep to the guy and they get a better return than they did before, or do I push the kick a sky to about the 35-yard line, which would be great for us. I thought that we had great chance to make a stop there, is getting the ball where they stopped at. But unfortunately, we was unable to get a stop. But the thing, my thought process was, if we kick it deep, we don't go to the end zone, then they bring it back out for a great return, and then we're at the same point as we were as the push kick. So it was a thought that I put in consideration for a while during the course of that score, what I wanted to do as far as the kickoff, and made a decision to sky kick it. And I almost had a fumble on the sky kick as well. So just playing my game plan the way I wanted to play it, and taking into consideration that I was doing what's best for this program. And I thought that was the best thing for it, considering we didn't have a one touchback the whole ball game when we kicked off. So, and the rest of them, they were returned to at least the 37-yard line. So 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other one. So I weighed it out and I did what I had to do to put this team in the best position to win ball game.
If you had to do it all over again, would you have done it the same way?
I wouldn't change a thing, Charles.
Yeah. And so again, just the play it back, because and we know special teams and Alcorn Southern always seem to go hand in hand. But for a return, you felt like, and how would you assess the kickoff return team going up to that point in the game? Because obviously by the short kick, and you're exactly right, the ball was fumbled briefly. It almost hit the ground, and I think at that point, it was almost a great idea in terms of that, because he did fumble the ball. He bobbled it but hung on to it, and that's where Southern got the ball pretty in pretty good field position. But how would you assess the kickoff coverage leading up to that point in the game?
Well, when you look at the kickoff coverage, Charles, and every kick that we kick land on about the 1 yard line, and they return it to about like a 37. So I think our kickoff coverage could have did a whole lot better what they did in that fashion, but we didn't, and that's my whole thought process. If you watch me during the course of a ball game, when we kick the ball off, I'm standing on the 20-yard line where the ball's supposed to be kicked deep in the end zone. So I know only one kick went into the end zone, and the rest of them land on about the 1 yard line, and they returned out to about the 37-yard line. So I think our kick recovery team did a fairly job, but when you kick one off and it lands on about the 1 yard line, you should make the tackle around the 20, and we didn't do that. So just gauging that and the way the guy was returning the kicks when we kicked it off, just kind of put me in a situation, what do I want to do at this point? Do I sky kick it to him, or do I kick it deep and hopefully we get a good rundown and make a tackle inside the 20? But we didn't do that all game. So my thought process was to sky kick it, get it about the 35-yard line, and we work from there.
Yeah. So, the bottom line, back in the end zone, 25, you hope if you kick it maybe at the 1 or 2, hopefully you can get a good coverage and maybe get them get a tackle around the 20-yard line. You kick it out of bounds, you get it at the 35. So obviously you gauge the course of the game to see how you're covering kickoffs to determine what type of kick you're going to do, whether it's a pooch kick, a corner kick, or a deep kick.
Yeah, I've been playing close attention to details ever since the Pine Bluff block punt. I've been playing close attention to our special teams and how to gauge what we're doing and special teams during the course of the game. And the punt's been great. The kickoff's they've been there, but not in the back of the end zone like we want them to. And I think what Christoph Thomas is doing. He's doing a great job of kicking the ball. We just got to do better going down the field and covering the kicks. And that's the only way we do that. We beat them with speed. We got to run during the course of the game and beat them with speed so we can get out and make the tackle inside the 20, hopefully.
All right, so that's the kind of one of the million-dollar questions going into this game. I wanted to start forward first. We normally start from the beginning, but that's obviously the million-dollar question, the strategy there. But if you go back to the beginning, Coach, you just look at the game in totality. We had 3 fumbles, and Southern scored on 2 of the 3 fumbles. So you take the turnover game out, then you win the game there. You look at the way it all played out. And early in the game, I mean, we obviously moved the football. Charles Pringle, a very, very unfortunate fumble, something he does not do. And then the penalties. We got off the field on a 4th and 2. They were settling for a field goal. We jump off sides, give them a new set of downs, and they score a touchdown. You said last week we had, 4 pre-snap penalties. I counted, I think, 3 or 4 again this week. And you talked about it last week, how you just got to watch the football and I guess don't move until the football moves. Is it a cadence issue? Peyton Manning always was able to draw people off sides with his cadence. Is that kind of what's going on? Because we had a few of those on Saturday.
You just have to have deaf ears during the course of a snap, especially when you're on the line. Your eyes are supposed to be on the ball anyway. You don't go on movement. You go on the snap of the ball. And so we didn't really see that. I think we were just going on sound instead of what we saw. We just got to get better at that. And I talked to the coach then about that yesterday in the meeting. We just got to get better at what we're doing up front. Just a lot of tackles and things of that nature, so we wasn't good there. We had the quarterback for sacks, and we didn't get him down there. So you put a lot of spectacle in the ball game of what you want to do and kind of mend from there. But we just got to get better at those things that we're doing, especially the penalties. We got to get a whole lot better than that, especially when we have them on 4th down and we jump off sides. We can't afford to do that.
We're going to be taking text tonight, 601-348-7254, and the Twitter feeds. You can tweet a question. I'm on Twitter, Tall Man Radio. Braves head football coach Fred McNair on the telephone here on the Fred McNair program. We're going to take it to 6 o'clock. We have Braves basketball at 6:30 as they take on Xavier. We'll have that game. I'll leave here and head straight to the Whitney Arena at 6:25. We'll have Braves basketball. So we have the Fred McNair Show now, and we'll have Braves basketball coming up in about an hour. All right, so, Coach, the turnover story. We had 3 fumbles, lost 2 of them, and Southern scored on 2 of the 3 turnovers that we had. So that's another part of the game, trying to protect the football and ball protection and security. Southern took advantage of 2 of our 3 turnovers.
We've been doing good so far, Charles, up until the game Saturday, taking care of the football, and we was creating turnovers. And we didn't do that this past week. We had a chance for an interception there. We missed it. The 2 turnovers that we had, they scored off of them. So you take away those turnovers, and we scored touchdowns off that, and it's a different ball game. But just understanding is something that we got to continue to work on, taking care of the football.
Yeah, Charles Pringle on the first fumble that we had, looked like he was going out of bounds. I guess tried to get some extra yards down that far sideline and lost the football, and Southern recovered there at the 12, and they went 88 yards in 11 plays. We actually got off the field, Coach. We had them in a 4th and 2. They were going to settle for a field goal. Then we jump off sides, give them a new set of downs, and Sims with a 1-yard touchdown. So, number 1, the turnover. Number 2, the 4th down, in which we gave them a new set of downs, and then they scored the touchdown.
That's exactly right. You take away the turnover, the charge. You just have to know when to say when it's enough. Just get out of bounds and just take care of the football. That's the case of trying to do too much. Then we go down and jump off sides on a field goal try, which is uncalled for. We work on that every day, and something that we just didn't do right. Gave a new set of downs. They were scored off their possession.
So we were down at that point 7-0. We came right back, Coach, moved the football again, and Griffith, a 27-yard pass from Felix Harper. There was a question last week about getting the tight ends involved, and how about Griffin? And talk about the job that the tight ends have been doing, just getting the short yardage situations, blocking, and then Griffin, of course, the touchdown to tie it up.
Griffin is an excellent tight end, and he's a slash, could be a receiver as well because he's got good speed. He did a great job of blocking the course of this ball game. He did an excellent job catching it and scoring after the catch. He did an excellent job for us this week. Looking for big and better things out of him in the future.
So it was a 7-7 game in the second quarter. Then Southern came back. Talk a little bit about the running attack for Southern University, and talk about, Coach, trying to keep their quarterback McDaniel in the pocket, because he had 4 or 5 big runs to extend drives. And to be honest, for me, when I look at McDaniel this year, last year, year before, if you keep him in the pocket, you have a chance, because he could push the ball down the field. I mean, you look at Ladarius Skelton, who's the running quarterback. You look at McDaniel, who's more, to me, of a pocket passer until Saturday night, and he broke some big runs. What was the challenge trying to keep him in the pocket, and what broke down there in terms of containment?
The biggest thing is, Charles, we just break contain and let him outside the pocket. We had him a couple times in sacks in the backfield. We don't make a tackle on him. He's able to escape and run for big yardage there. And some of them was third down and long. That we just couldn't get off the field on third and long. And I kind of emphasized that during the course of the meeting yesterday about getting off the field. They was 14 of 20 on third downs, and that's not good for a defense. But it's good for offense, though, but not good for defense. But we just got to, third and long, we got to be able to get off the field on third and long.
Sims was a slippery customer. He had 22 carries for 74 yards. What was the challenge in trying to deal with him in the backfield?
The biggest thing is, Coach Rowland, he stated during the conference call that they don't lose in the trenches, and I think they took pride in what they did up front and kind of smashed the defense a little bit and ran the ball well with Sims. So, but it was a great battle up front. It was a seesaw battle. We was able to make some stops with him and not give him too many yards, but you can only slow him down. But you ain't gonna put too much stop on a good running back and a good offensive line. You just got to just tackle the ball when you can and make sure you wrap up.
So Sims put Sims with the touchdown there, put Southern up 14-7, and we came right back. LaCharles Pringle in the second quarter. Towards the end of the second, at the end of the second, a 20-yard pass from Felix Harper that capped off a 66-yard drive in 8 plays. Just talk about the execution there, as Pringle had to really go up and get it. They reviewed it in terms of time, how much time was on the clock. There was like a second left, but that was a pretty good pass from Harper. Put it right where only Pringle could get it.
He did a great job of stepping up in the pocket, which Coach Gray is trying to get all the kids to do in terms of pocket awareness and making a good throw to Pringle down in the end zone and Pringle there to go up and make a great catch. And it was awesome just to continue to score with Southern score.
And that tied the game at 14. Coach, back and forth. Again, I just thought that if we got a little bit more of an edge on Southern, grab the lead, which we didn't get. If we got the lead, have them backing up a little bit. I thought, considering what they went through the week before against Prairie View and getting them in a situation, here we go again. I think if we got them in that moment, I think we would have had them. But it just never got that way to where, all right, we got them now. We got them against the ropes. Let's go ahead and take care of this. Southern just kept hanging around and kept making plays, and that's just one of the things. We were battling uphill, though, Coach, all night long. And, we were down 5 different times and even down by 8 late in the game and tied it up. So we were kind of fighting upstream there most of the night. We're usually playing from the front.
We was, Charles, and just hoping that we get a stop and stop these guys from scoring and we get the ball back so we can go up ahead, a touchdown or so. And like you said, if we do that, it'll be, here we go again, So we did not get a chance to do that. We did not get a chance to make a stop when we needed it to get our offensive ball back and so they can score a touchdown to go ahead. So it's kind of a see-through battle, and just like you said, it's kind of an uphill battle, for us all night.
So we'll take a break here as we approach the bottom of the hour. We'll take a timeout, 1 minute break. We'll be back after this. Coach Fred McNair joining us on the telephone here on this Monday night, an hour earlier edition of the Fred McNair program. We'll be back after this timeout.
You don't fight fair, so we'll just fight harder.
We didn't come here to play around.
You're going down.
Honestly, I hate you.
I'm stronger than you.
I'm more determined than you.
We're going to beat you, cancer.
Because the American Cancer Society
is on our team.
And together, we're unstoppable.
My name is John Calipari.
I'm Roy Williams.
I'm Jim Boeheim.
I'm Tubby Smith.
And I'm a coach versus cancer.
Radio Network, an earlier edition of this Fred McNair program. Fred McNair joining us on the telephone here on this Monday night. And we have an earlier edition tonight because we have Braves basketball at 6:30 at the Whitney Arena as Alcorn will take on Xavier. We'll have that broadcast on the Braves Sports Radio Network. I'll be over at the Whitney Arena in 1 hour. All right, so Coach, 14 all game. We're right there again. I just thought if we just hit one more punch, get them sideways, considering that we have caught Southern University so many times over the years when Southern's been on the upswing. And I've been saying all last week, even though the Jaguars were embarrassed in the second half against Prairie View on their homecoming in front of a packed house at Mumford Stadium, in my mind, I thought that would make Southern even more dangerous because now you have pride at stake. Now you have guts and you're representing your school, your athletic program, and you got a number of games to go against the top teams in the conference. You got Jackson State, got FAMU coming in there. So the Jaguars didn't want to go out like that, and I just thought that would make them even more dangerous because of what happened in the second half against Prairie View. And I just thought, we had to have our antennas up even more so in this game compared to years past when Southern had been playing well going into that matchup.
Well, Southern's been a good ball club all the time, Charles. When they played Prairie View, they had a lot of turnovers against Prairie View, and Prairie View was able to capitalize off their turnovers. And leading into this ball game, we don't turn the ball over. I think we're in a better situation than we was. But they're a good ball club. I think Coach had them ready to play, minimize our turnovers, and we score more points and we win the ball game. But that didn't happen, and we was unfortunate we didn't get any turnovers on their side.
So as we look at the third quarter recap, Ladarius Skelton, how much did you game plan for him? Because he is the dual threat. He worried me about as much as anybody, and I've been saying for years to some of the Jaguar Nation, including my good friend Carlos Brown, that I think Ladarius Skelton, he scares the heck out of me because of the dual threat ability, and we've seen a lot of dual threat quarterbacks. And he did have a 1-yard touchdown run with 8:36 left in the third quarter. We knew about McDaniel, but how much did you game plan for Skelton?
The biggest thing is, you got a quarterback like Skelton, you got to prepare for him. It's almost like you got a running quarterback with Skelton and a throwing quarterback with McDaniel. So when Skelton in the game, you know what you have to call to make sure that you contain him. So he's more of a runner, which McDaniel's more of a thrower, but he ran the ball as well during the third down sport. So, we kind of similar game plan, too much different, but we know with Skelton in the game what he's capable of doing.
So the Jaguars come right back and grab the lead. Then C.J. Bowler's 39-yard pass from Harper. Bowler with a terrific game, Coach, receiving the football. I mean, you just look at what he did in the ball game. He had 7 receptions, had some nice plays, including a one-handed catch. Seems like he's really coming into his own.
Yeah, Bowler he's been solid all year, Charles. Just glad to have him back. He was out by like 3 weeks after the Central game. But he bounced back, came back off his injury, and he's been playing solid for it for the last 5 games. So we're excited about having him back.
Sims got Southern the lead in the fourth quarter as it was 21-all going into the fourth and early fourth quarter. Sims touchdown made it 28-27. The Nico Duffy 7-yard run made it 28-27. Then the PAT was blocked, Coach. Talk about the operation on that PAT.
So much operation, but so much leakage on the line of scrimmage between the guard and the tackle. They didn't get the head up and protect inside, so the guy came through and blocked it. We just had a little leakage on the left side.
So it was 28-27 at that point. Then McLean, 18-yard pass from McDaniel, was 35-27, Coach. And in the second half, just want to kind of replay some of the things in the second half. We had a situation where we were stopped on a 4th down and goal from the half-yard line or the 1-yard line. I was thinking about Stafford Anderson getting the carry there, yet Nico Duffy obviously came up short at the goal line. Talk about the strategy there and going with Nico, and we know Stafford Anderson, the big bruising back, he can move some people around.
Yeah, we've got a good push on the Charge, and I think that one of the tackles got knocked back a little bit and kind of throwed him off a little bit, and they kind of caught him by the leg. But I still think he crossed the goal line. They looked at it, but I still think he crossed the goal line from my eye view of what I could see.
And I guess the other question, again, just the kick, and then having Stafford Anderson in the game in that situation. Was that an option? Was that something you were thinking about?
No, that was an option. I mean, we're gonna go what we've been doing, Charles. We don't change the game plan for any player. If we got a player that's gonna run, that's been running the ball, he's gonna run it. We don't just emphasize on one back or headed back or big back. Both of them can run the ball inside. So that's what we game plan.
So we were down by 1, and then Southern University got a touchdown. McLean, an 18-yard pass from McDaniel, was 35-27 at that point. And then with a minute left, Coach, we put together a 34-yard drive. C.J. Bowler's 14-yard touchdown reception. Caught it with one hand, Coach, and that made the highlight reel. That just shows you how good of an athlete he is. And it was pretty good coverage, but even a better catch.
Great catch. That's a great operation. That's what we've been looking for a while. Just give him a chance to make a play. Thankfully, just laid up for him, and he made a play on him.
And that made it a 2-point game. Talk about the strategy on the 2-point conversion. You needed a 2. Talk about the play, Bowler for the 2 and the tie.
It was no option, Charles. We had to get the 2-point conversion. So great call by Coach Radden to get the 2-point conversion there.
So that tied it up at 35. And then again, you talked about it at the top, Coach, on the kick. You had to make some decisions in terms of how we were covering kickoffs. Kick it out of the back, that's at the 25. Kick it out of bounds is at the 35. So clearly your decision to push kick, short kick, coffin corner kick out of the back of the end zone, it kind of depends on how it's being kicked and how it's being covered.
Oh, yeah, ain't no doubt, Charles. If I 100% that the ball was going to go out of the end zone, I would have kicked it back there. I mean, but I wasn't 100% that was going to go back out there. We kicked off 5 times, and number one go out the back of the end zone. So then they returned the ball at least to the 37-yard line every time they returned it. So wasn't no option. I don't second guess myself when I make decisions, Charles. I go with my gut feeling and I stick with it. So if I had to do it all over again, I'd do the same thing, Charles.
Jackson with a 47-yard field goal as time expired. And the one thing about it, Coach, we kind of had them backed up, and there was a big play there to their tallest target kind of set up to get themselves in the field goal range, and kind of a jump ball there, about 25 yards that put them in field goal range. Talk about that particular play, because it was kind of a jump ball to Southern's tallest receiver.
And I thought that was a ball that we should have had intercepted, Charles. We was right there on top of the ball, and I thought that was a ball we should have had picked. Disappointed that we didn't come down with it. They made a play, and we didn't.
And Southern with a field goal at the horn and win 38-35. We'll take a break here. We'll go inside the numbers. You can text a question. We're taking text and tweets, 601-877-6595. But we are taking texts and tweets tonight. You can text a question, 601-348-7254. You can tweet a question. I'm on Twitter, Tall Man Radio, and on Facebook as well. We'll take a break. We'll be back after this timeout here on the Fred McNair Show.
America, land of the free. It's at the core of who we are. Freedom. The freedom to live without fear, to drive through all 50 states, to sleep safely in our own beds, the freedom to jog where we please, to watch birds in the park, to wear a hoodie, the freedom to breathe. Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because no matter your religion, gender, disability, age, race, all lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter.
Fred McNair program. You can text a question, 601-348-7254. You can tweet a question. I'm on Twitter, Tall Man Radio. Glad you can join us in an early edition of the Fred McNair program. Basketball coming up in about an hour as the basketball team, a big game against Xavier at 6:30. We'll have that on the Braves Sports Radio Network. I'll be heading to the Whitney Arena as soon as this program is over. All right, coaches, I look at the box scores. I look at the rundown sheet. The big story for me, 88 plays. And for me, and I'm sure you probably would agree, that whether you're playing Southern University or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if a team is running 88 plays at you, it's tough. And I thought our defense hung in, but 88 plays, I didn't realize Southern ran that many plays in the game. But that's what happened, and I thought our defense hung tough, but clearly too many and too long our defense was on the field.
And that's what happened, Charles, when I talk about third down conversion. When you have a chance to get off the field on third and long, you kind of get off the field on third and long. And that's what's the disappointing thing about it. They had third and long a few times, and we didn't even get off the field, and that gave no extra plays. And they give you another series of downs. So anytime you can get off the field on third down, you shorten the game up, you shorten the plays that they run. So, but if you don't do that, you get more opportunity to run plays.
14 of 20. On third down. That is a very high number. Have you ever dealt with anything like, I know you always look at the third down conversions when you look at the box score. Have you ever seen anything like that? 20 third down attempts, 14 third down conversions by a team.
And that is a high percentage, and we can't have that as a defense. And you got to get off the field on third down. We emphasize that a lot. We work on third down and long during the course of the week, and just didn't do it this weekend.
So if you look at the individual numbers, Felix Harper, 13 of 26 for 206 yards and 4 touchdowns. Talk about the trenches. And you made a comment to your team after Tuesday's practice. You normally give them a speech after every practice, but I just happened to be at practice on Tuesday. And you talked about it earlier, what Southern's coach Jason Rollins said, and he was quoted as saying this, that Southern University doesn't lose games in the trenches. That's just not what happens when he's a part of this thing. And clearly the trenches were the key. Would it be safe to say that this game was won and lost up front?
Oh, you have to win the trenches, Charles. If you're able to run the ball effectively and get third down, and that's predicated on what your offensive line do. You're able to sit back in the pocket and throw passes. That's when you're winning. I thought my guys did a great job up front. The offensive line that we played did a great job up front winning the trenches battle. We had some great runs. We had time to throw the ball and figure some great things. But the game is won up front, and that's what I told the guys. It's going to be won. It's going to be won up front, and that's where it lied at.
Yeah, we ran it for 241, so I'm sure you graded your offensive line high. Felix was only sacked one time, and he was able to step up, and he was able to move the pocket, and you were able to move to run the football and stretch the field.
They was pretty effective, Charles, in what they was doing. I think Coach Radden had a great game plan, and what we had to do against Southern defensive front. Schematically, I think he schemed up pretty good and did a great job in the running game. And unfortunately, the offensive line gave him a chance to pass the ball as well. So, he graded pretty high this weekend. So we just got to continue what we're doing and get more consistent in what we're doing.
As I was reminded, somebody reminded me of this probably a couple of hours ago. You go inside the numbers, tough loss, but you look at it from the standpoint of we scored 35 points. And normally we score 35 points, we win the football game. So I guess that's what makes it even tougher. You scored enough points on the road to win the game. And just unfortunately, we didn't win the game, and I think that's what hurts a lot as well.
Oh, yeah, that's put a bitter taste in your mouth, Charles, when you're able to score 35 points in a game. And just to show you the offense is kind of coming around now to where they need to. We just got to be more consistent, continue to score points. The defense is going to work. Coach Tillman, I'm sure he's going to get that change and turn around in terms of what he got to do to fix that.
So leading the way in receiving yards, Pringle with 53, Bowler with 53, Bowler with 2 touchdowns, Pringle with a receiving touchdown, and we talked about Griffin, the tight end, with a touchdown receiving. Talk about the play of both. Just one punt, Coach, for your team, 44 yard the longest there. Talk about Bo Plant and how he was able to punt the football on Saturday.
He's been doing well, Charles, over the last course of the week. You know, I talked to him all the special guys, and I call it special guys because they are special for what they do in terms of kicking. And I think he's coming around pretty solid and getting hold of the ball very well, putting in the place that need to be put in. So our cover team is doing great. The PBR, the punt block return, they doing good. So we just got to continue to work hard and be more consistent in what we're doing. And that word is going to be thrown out a lot this week. We got to get more consistent in things that we're doing.
For all the running yards we had 243. Felix Harper with 78 net yards rushing, including a 33-yarder. So, you know, they had to account for Felix Harper, and he came up with some big runs in the game.
He did, and nature that, and sometimes he has to rely on his legs to get him out of trouble, Charles, sometimes. So he did a great job in this game of scrambling and running with the football.
282 total yards for Felix Harper running and throwing the football. We talk about the receiving yards there. Bowler with some nice catches there. Bowler with 53, Pringle with 53, Manny Jones, 6 targets, 4 receptions, 29 yards, and Griffin 1 for 27. On the defensive side of the ball, 2 players coach in double figures in tackles. Chairless with 14 tackles and Malcolm McGee with 10. Monster gains by both of those young men.
So those guys been playing solid, Charles. Chairless, the inside linebacker, and been playing solid. Worked hard during the course of a week of practice. Malcolm McGee coming back off of a week off, coming back and playing an excellent ball game as well. So we look for those guys to step up and make plays like that. So excellent game by both of those guys.
I know you don't talk much. You and I have talked about these speeches at halftime and after the game. What was your speech to your team after this one? I know it was a tough loss. It was painful. You scored a ton of points. So what was the spiel to your team afterwards? A lot of football left. Still, we control what we need to do.
Nothing. Basically the same thing you just said. So, you know, we still control our own destiny. You know, we just dropped one, and unfortunately, we just got to continue to get better. That's my emphasizing thing I said at the end of the game. We just got to get better and push forward. This one's behind us, and let's be ready for Bethune-Cookman. You know, they're going to be a good ball club. We got to go down there and try to win a ball game, guys. So that was the biggest thing. Just emphasize we just got to keep pushing and getting better.
We'll take a break here. We'll get to your text and tweets, and we'll turn our attention to what they call in Florida Cookman. Some people down there, FAMU folks, call them Cookman. We call them Bethune-Cookman. So we'll talk about Bethune coming up. But up next, your texts and tweets on the other side of this timeout here on the Fred McNair Show.
When I think of Alcorn, I think of family.
I would encourage people to come to Alcorn because if you're looking for a great way to connect with people, to also get your degree, and also to enjoy college, I would definitely choose Alcorn.
If they made the choice to come to Alcorn, they wouldn't regret it. You would just meet so many great people that would have a lasting impression on your life. And the teachers and everything, it's just a family. And it's a great family to be a part of because once you're part of the Brave Nation, you just can't forget it. You can't let it go. Be brave. Go further.
We are Alcorn.
Choose to be brave.
Choose Alcorn.
Alcorn proud, brave strong.
Alcorn is where you belong.
An earlier start time due to Braves basketball that will start at 6:30. If you are in the area of Alcorn State University, Lorman, Mississippi, the Davie Whitney Arena, I hope to check out Braves basketball as they take on Xavier at 6:30. You can catch that game if you can't make it on the Braves Sports Radio Network. Free admission at the Whitney Arena. Come and check it out. All right, Coach, let's get to the text line here. Any thoughts, Coach, of using Leatherwood on some short yardage power runs?
Yeah, so Leatherwood's been a great back for us. He's gonna do some great things. But with Nico and Stafford running where they running, you know, we just gonna continue to play those guys by committee and let those guys do what they're doing. You know, hopefully we don't get in short yardage too many times. You know, but it's going to happen, but we just kind of just make sure that we do what's right up front to push the pile on and so we get that extra yard or we need to get a first down.
And from the same individual, especially Southern University and even some other teams picked on one of our cornerbacks in particular. Any thoughts about using more corners, especially at critical times of the game?
Well, Tony Wilson was out with a nursing injury last week, and he was able to come in and play a little bit. And I think what we're doing, trying to shuffle those guys around. Kavonte Key been out ever since the first ball game, so we kind of shortened that area right there, Charles, to do the injuries. And we're just trying to make sure we piece it together the best way we can defensively to get the right guys in and making plays. That's the biggest thing. We beat up by the injury bug right now, Charles. We just, on the defensive side of the ball anyway. We're just trying to find the pieces to get along and make sure we put the guys in the right place to be successful, to compete.
And Kermit sent a text in on talking about that 4th and goal play in which we got stopped. We didn't have any splits with our offensive line, so we talked about it earlier, the jumbo package to run the ball as opposed to Duffy. And you were pretty confident that Duffy got the ball in the end zone, and even with the personnel, you were confident with what you had on the field and getting the football. Who was going to get the football in that situation?
Yeah, pretty much I was. And during that jumbo package, we don't give up splits. We kind of got those 6-inch splits, and we're trying to make sure that we have no leakage in what we do. Unfortunately, we had a knockback on one of our tackles. Kind of gave a little stub right there, a little weak inside, and kind of got me good Duff off track. But still, I thought he got in the end zone there, Charles.
From the Twitter feed, Alexis Smith talking about screenplays. Are there any screenplays in the playbook? This can help get playmakers involved with the game plan early and not have such a slow start. And she said, thanks for getting the tight end involved. Yeah, what we talk about the screen game, Coach. We've got the speed there, and just when you think about it, not a lot of screens. There may be on the edge. You screen on the edge, and you got to be careful on the holds on the edge because those come back, obviously. But just talk about the screen game.
And the biggest thing, Charles, is it takes so long to develop. You see a lot of teams don't run too many screens because it takes so long to develop. And then sometimes you don't get what you need in the screen. And it's hard to practice during the week to develop a screen package. But we do have some screen plays we're trying to get to, but we haven't put them in effect right now. But they will see something pretty soon.
You talk about the defense, Coach. Cheerless and McGee combined for 24 tackles. I mean, this defense really hung in despite the 88 plays. I was impressed with how they were able to get off the field at times. It's a lot of plays to be on the field. You look at the time of possession, Southern 32-54, the Braves 26-52 in that category. You talked about the third down, 20 third down attempts. They were 14 of 20. We were 5 of 10. So when you look at that number, Coach, and I know you said when you pick up a box score, you look at the third down, the 14 of 20, obviously that's disturbing. But the 10 third down attempts that we had, were you concerned about that number and getting more third down attempts?
No, I want to be less third down attempts in that area, Charles. For me, I don't want to hold out third down attempts. You want to be less than 10, but 10 is not bad. But you want to be less than 10. That means you're less than 10. That means you're not getting the third down, and that's big time. And but when you're 14 of 20 on third downs, and you're giving up 14 third down big plays, there's a concern there. And like I said, I'm quite sure Coach Thornton is going to be working really hard this week to get the guys to make big third down plays and getting off the field on third down.
On the defensive side, to wrap up on that side, Damian Anderson with 7 tackles and Kieron Kinsler with 7 tackles. Anderson with 1 tackle for a loss. Talk about how those two played, as those were the top 4. Cheerless, McGee, Anderson, and Kinsler, the top 4 tacklers in the Southern game.
Those guys are solid, and they ball hungry. They fly around to the ball, and they know where it's at. That means they get their scout report, and they look at their scout report in terms of what position that Coach Thornton is putting them in to make plays, so they understand the concept of the offense and where the ball is going to be, and they have to make the tackle there. So I'm proud of those guys of stepping up and contributing very heavy to the defense.
Well, Coach, this one's behind us. It's painful. It's tough. For me, I mean, it's not about me, but I just felt like Southern was going to be even more dangerous because they were embarrassed a week prior on that same field, and they got FAMU coming in. I guess depending on what Southern team shows up, as Willie Simmons' team's rolling right now. But still, everything's in front of us. You got to put it in your rearview mirror, and as they say, Coach, don't let a loss beat you twice. We go down.
Right.
We go down to Cookman on Saturday, and we play at noon, 11 a.m. Central Time. And you look at Cookman; they led 9-0 against Jackson State. So many close losses, and they were off this past week. So all those dynamics. It's a fresh team. We're trying to get healthy. Flight to Daytona. You go there and you play around with it, and let's. I know we're going to come out with a win, but if we don't, then we're in a lot of trouble in terms of getting to the championship game. So is this one, as painful as it is, you got to turn the page and get ready for, I think, a Cookman team that's in the spoiler role, and they've had so many close losses.
Oh, that's right. Coach Sims doing a great job of that program down there. Like I said, the record don't even matter. It's just what those young men play. They play hard. They can fight. They're going to give us a battle. So we got to keep in our mind that we're going to play a football game, not an 0-8 football team. And in terms of that, we just got to prepare very hard this week and get ready to play a good football team.
And we'll talk about Cookman coming up after this 1-minute timeout. Don't forget Braves basketball coming up at the bottom of the hour here on the Braves Sports Radio Network. You can watch it as well as allcornsports.com. Landon Bussey's team taking on Xavier. We'll be back after this 1-minute timeout on the Fred McNair Show.
Whether it's advice on managing your anxiety or tools to help you stay grounded, Coping-19 provides a range of resources and self-care tips to help you cope with this pandemic. We can help. Find the resources that work best for you at coping-19.org.
At home, your 1 hour's worth. We did come on a little late. We apologize for that. Had to change some technical stuff with Fred McNair not being here in studio. So just last-minute adjustments that you have to make. So we'll give you the full hour here. And we'll give everyone the full look at Bethune-Cookman. Head coach Fred McNair, as we bring you in here, I've been looking at Cookman, and I'm going to say this. When I saw the schedule at Football Media Day in July, didn't know when we were playing these teams, didn't know we were playing Southern Halloween weekend, all that. When I saw that we were playing Bethune-Cookman the first week in November, I said, uh-oh, here we go. Because I've talking with Coach Sims at Media Day, you just felt like his team was going to be a quietly overlooked. They've struggled. They haven't won a game. But you look at the games. They lost by 3 to A&M. They lost by 14 to Bama State. They lost by 7 to South Carolina State. They lost by 6 to Valley. They lost by 6 to Prairie View. And they led Jackson State 9-0 early. So that if that doesn't get your attention, I don't know what will. So when you look at this team, they held Jackson State, I believe, 28 yards rushing 2 weeks ago. We love to run the football. So let's talk about Coach Sims' team here. What is it about this Cookman team, as they call it down in Florida? FAMU folks call them Cookman. We call them Bethune-Cookman. What is it that concerns you about Bethune-Cookman?
They got a lot of fight on them, Charles. They got a pretty solid football team. What they do on defensive term and stopping the run, they're going to be very efficient. We just got to make sure that we get a good game plan together to make sure we go down there and rush the ball very well and also throw the ball too, Charles. We just got to be able to establish something, the ground attack and also the air attack. So we just got to be very solid and mistake-free and being more consistent. I'm going to say that until it happens. We got to be consistent in everything we do on offense.
Their quarterback, Patrick Shano, was 7 of 20 in the game against Jackson State. They weren't able to run the football quite as effectively. So, you know, Shano had 152 yards passing to five different receivers. So offensively, I mean, you look at their last games against Jackson State. Obviously, not a lot of offense. They led 9-0 early, but the team's kind of hard to figure what makes them explosive offensively.
Well, the biggest thing, they got a dynamic running back. They run the ball pretty well, Charles. In terms of the running game, you know, I've seen on film where the back can run. I watched the Alabama A&M game where the guy had some good runs, and but we just got to make sure that we ball up everything, and we got to make tackles. That's going to be the key. Charlie will interpret what we do on defense and make sure we don't give up the big plays.
Against Jackson State, the JSU Tigers had 38 rushes for a net 23 yards. Now, 41 of those minus yards were by quarterback Shedeur Sanders. So if you take that out, Jackson State had a total of 65 yards rushing. So still pretty stout defense there in Bethune-Cookman. What concerns you there?
Oh, the defense is stout. They got a good linebacker coach, Charlie. They play hard. They play fast. You know, like I said, we're not going to play an 0-8 football team. We're going to play a solid Bethune-Cookman football team that's going to be very hungry for a win. And we just got to make sure that we prepare ourselves to go down and play a solid ball game, all three phases of it. We can't have no flaws in any of it. So we got to be perfect.
From the injury front, you know, our starting center Milburn didn't play this past Saturday. Will he play against Bethune-Cookman?
Hopefully we get some good news on tomorrow about Milburn, whether he's going to play or not, Charles. And that's one of the pieces that we're missing in the puzzle. They've been very helpful for us. But I think Darius Smith has done an outstanding job of coming in and being the quarterback on the offensive line. So we still got guys kind of banged up on the offensive line a little bit. We're playing through injuries and playing hurt. But our guys, they won't give up. They just keep fighting, Charles. We're just going to continue to push these guys as much as we can and get the most out of them.
No excuses, as you say, in spite of all that. I mean, we're still right there. This was, you know, normally in years past, we drop a game early in the season, kind of rally back, and we get a little bit of help. But now it's us and it's Prairie View, and Prairie View was off last week, and so we know that Prairie View game is the week after next. But if we don't do what we need to do this week, it won't matter against Prairie View. What's in front of us is Bethune-Cookman.
Exactly right. My main focus is Bethune-Cookman. We're not worried about anything that until we go down to Daytona and take care of Bethune-Cookman, and then we'll see the next game after that. But we just got to be focused on what we got to do to stop Bethune-Cookman and score a lot of points against Bethune.
An early game, Coach. We've had some 7 o'clock games, some 6 o'clock games that start at 8:30. This game will start at high noon, 11 a.m. kickoff Central Time. So we go from one extreme to the next.
Well, that's the part of it, Charles. That's being part of being on the road and the things that we can do, traveling and get these guys ready to play football, get them up early and wake them up and get them ready to play a 12 noon ball game.
Good thing is we'll be home early, get a chance to check out some of the other games, and hopefully setting the stage for our last regular season home game, maybe for the Western Division against Prairie View. But that's ahead of us. We got to take care of Cookman on Saturday at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Time kickoff. Braves head coach Fred McNair joining us on the telephone. Coach, we appreciate it, and we'll talk to you next week.
Awesome, Charles. Go Braves.
That's Braves head coach Fred McNair joining us on the telephone here on this Monday night. Glad you can join us. We appreciate you joining us an earlier start time because we have Braves basketball in 29 minutes as the Braves take on Xavier at the Davey Whitney Arena. I'm headed there right now. We'll have tip-off right at the bottom of the hour. For our producers, Cedric Tillman, Jamario Brooks, I'm Charles Edmond for the Fred McNair Show on the Braves Sports Network. Braves basketball coming up in 30 minutes. We'll talk to you next week. So long.